Hello, I'm Mirella.
Hello, I'm Zoe. Welcome to the Critical Obsession podcast.
We're going to talk about things that we love and that get us obsessed, like series, movies, books, maybe cats. Our latest obsession has been a TBL called Dangerous Romance. The episodes are free to watch on YouTube. There will be spoilers, so you should definitely go and watch the series before listening to us fangirl about it.
A little disclaimer, this podcast idea was born on a normal day when she was drunk and I was hysterical. Hence the name. This will contain our personal opinions and random thoughts and theories. There will be cursing, and also be aware that topics may be adult in nature. Alcohol may also be involved.
Our laughing will be painful to listen to, but bear with us. We already watched the first 4 episodes of Dangerous Romance, and we want to talk about it.
We plan on doing a podcast reaction after each new episode that comes out. However, today we're just going to talk about the first 2. If you're still with us after all this, join us on our downward spiral into our obsessions. So, episode 1.
Dangerous Romance.
I'm like, I don't know where to start.
Maybe we should start with the fact that you started watching it by yourself and you were so excited that you got me into it as well. I was intending on watching it, but I wanted to wait for more episodes to come out, but I have no patience, I guess.
Well, yeah, no, I have zero chill, so I just started watching it. It was one I was looking forward to watching, so as soon as it started airing, I was like, there's nothing else on, let's watch this. And I very quickly became obsessed, and I'm like, watch it so I can talk to you about it. I need to talk to somebody about it, like, for real.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I kind of peer pressured you a little bit, but it didn't take much.
No, it's okay. I enjoy being obsessed.
And now you're in that same boat as me where we have to wait a week for a new episode, which is kind of painful. But hey, maybe this will help relieve some of that. The anxiety of waiting for the next week's episode.
Yeah, but it's fine. And it's fun because you have more time to think about it and give more meaning to the episodes, to the things that happen. Because if you binge it, you don't think about it too much.
Yeah, true. And I mean, maybe maybe we're reading too much into it. Maybe we're giving it too much interest. But I don't know. I think it's really good. I think it warrants it. I think the acting is really good. I think the direction's really good. And so far, and fingers crossed, it continues to stay that way. The storyline is really good.
The series begins with Salem talking about inequality and how he's hyper aware of the fact that it's holding him back and he doesn't have as much as opportunities as other people. I remember the moment when his brother gets new shoes and Salem thinks he made some elderly person pay for it. So his brother is okay with breaking the rules in order to survive. He probably feels like the society wronged him and he can pay back.
He has that I'm owed mentality.
Yeah. Well, Salem, I think what keeps him afloat is this hope that by being right, by being a decent person, he can escape this.
Yeah. And I think also like that's why he works so hard, because he wants to rise above his station the right way without, morally bankrupting himself.
His integrity is what gives him strength to hold his head high when other people who think of him as less express this to him.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's probably like not a bad moment to just talk about the title as well, because we sort of discussed this just recently. The title Dangerous Romance is like the English title, and everyone is confused as to why they chose to go with that, because the Thai title is so much better.
Yeah.
It has so much more meaning, and it makes, I mean, obviously if we were to say what the title is now, it's not going to make much sense to people if they don't know about it. But the 2 main characters, Kangan, and I'm pronouncing that wrong, I think, and Salem, basically their names are Wind and Windmill. So
Salem is the wind and Kanga is the windmill.
Yeah. And so the Thai title, and I don't have it written down exactly what it is. Do you have it written down somewhere?
Heart in the Wind.
Heart in the Wind. Right.
Casual Avocados on Tumblr posted a post about it and explained the title.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, it's funny because if you just, I mean, Dangerous Romance sounds like the title of a bad, like, trashy romance novel, really, honestly, doesn't it? And then, I mean, I was thinking about it and I was like, I suppose Heart in the Wind does a little bit too, if you don't know the context of their names. Like, once you know the context of their names, it's actually a really, like, beautiful title, and it's a shame they didn't go with it, but that's what it is. But we can touch on that later on because we did make some jokes and theories as to like why they went with the Dangerous Romance, and did it fit, did it not fit. But going back to episode 1, I I recently just rewatched them all so I could like sort my thoughts and everything. But like in the very first thing, so I guess for anyone who's new, who's joining us, who hasn't watched the episode and doesn't know how these episodes are structured, on YouTube they're split into 4 parts. So each episode is like episode 1, part 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, 4 of 4, etc. So in the first part, when you were talking about, you've got this narration happening, we're seeing clips of what's to come and also what's happening with them at that very point in time. And you sort of, the bit where you sort of see Kang is like basically sitting in comfort in a somewhat fancy looking cafe or whatever, having a coffee, and he unbuttons his shirt, which I never noticed the first time, probably because it's hot, Thailand's meant to be really hot. So he's making himself comfortable, so he's unbuttoning his shirt to comfort himself, versus a clip that they put in there of something that happens later on where he is unbuttoning Salom's shirt for him, making him uncomfortable. So while Salom is actually talking about this imbalance in, who is, how life is, and all the rest of it, I found that visual that they were showing there really, really interesting.
He was doing it for his comfort, right? Buttoning his shirt, and then he was unbuttoning Salem's shirt for also for his comfort. So it's like Salem, everyone else in his world exists for his comfort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. But at the same time as well, he's doing it to Salom to make Salom uncomfortable. So there's that really interesting thing. And it's funny because I don't know whether or not it's actually the director is trying to say something by doing that. I never noticed it the first time I watched it, so I'm not sure necessarily that it was on purpose. But like watching it the second time, it seemed to be sort of a commentary on like freedom and control, comfort and loss of comfort, etc., stuff like that. So, and I thought it was a good way of showing us their class difference from the start in a kind of really unusual way. But later on, when you see that scene, you see what's actually happening with the bullying and the shirt unbuttoning and all that. It makes a lot more sense. So I don't know whether they were meant to, whether it was meant to be a message as such in the beginning. If it was, brilliant, absolutely brilliant direction, because I mean, it only works if you notice it, because then later on you go, oh, hang on a minute,
Mm-hmm.
The thing that drew me into this series, and I'm totally going to butcher names. I know I'm going to butcher names. I'm just like, oh, pronunciation is not my thing. Chimon, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Who plays Salom? He is a great, absolutely brilliant actor, I think. And it's worth checking out other stuff he's been in for sure. But I feel like I love his characters, and I love the way he plays his character's intelligence in the first couple of episodes. Like, he's so clever at spinning things
Turning it back on.
turning it back
Yes.
and spinning things so that they come out in his favor. Not always like necessarily to his benefit, but definitely giving him, not letting the other person have the upper hand either. Do you know what I mean? So I really like that. And
he comes out of those situations with his pride untouched, and in the beginning at least.
I think so too. And I think it's really interesting. You were talking about the brother and, the comment about the shoes and him thinking that like he'd sort of, convinced someone else to purchase them and all that sort of stuff. And we see like multiple times during these first 4 episodes how irresponsible his brother is with money. It's not really very clear either. We're not really told, is it a debt of his brother's making, or they don't seem to have parents, which also hasn't been explained. But it often isn't in these dramas. Like, you just sort of have to assume that life's hard, maybe something bad happened. So the debt could have been held over from that. It could be, it's hard to know exactly where the debt came from, but I'm leaning towards it's something the brother did, but he may have done it for them, like so they have some way to live, or something like that. I feel like it's probably because of something like that is how the debt began. But he's definitely irresponsible with money for sure. But I noticed in the first episode, he does still try and encourage Salom, even though like he's clearly like I think he thinks it's a bit of a lost cause for him, but he does still try and encourage him to do the right thing in terms of study and make betterment for himself. Like I think he jokes about getting a good job so that he can then like live off of him or something, but I feel like he's only kind of half serious.
Yeah, because he doesn't have this hope that Salem has. Maybe he thinks it's innocence. Maybe he thinks it's immaturity. But he doesn't really want to bring him down.
And it's interesting though as well, because he, as you said, like you mentioned Salom's innocence, and I guess he is. He's a bit naive in some ways as well about things, but out of the two of them, he's definitely the more mature. He's maybe not as hardened as his brother, but he's definitely more realistic, because we sort of see him as well in these first 4 episodes kind of maybe not lying necessarily, but definitely omitting truths to for what purpose? The only purpose I can think of is to like not worry his brother. But his brother really doesn't seem that worried to me anyway. So I'm like, I don't know whether that's because Salom is just so good at like kind of being the role model. He seems to be in that kind of control role model mode, even though like he's the younger brother.
I wonder if we'll get a backstory, an explanation as to why he's like that and why his brother is so different.
I mean, I think to do that, it's probably going to be tied into whatever's happened to the parents, I would imagine. So
yeah, maybe his brother was more aware. Maybe he was older when thing that happened, and so it affected him more than it affected Salem.
I think also potentially because he's older, if it happened when Salem was young, like quite a bit younger or whatever, he may not have. I mean, he's probably not as intelligent as Salem anyway. We kind of get that sort of general is meant to be, like he sort of says that, that Salem's the smart one sort of thing.
Yeah.
It may be a case of like if he has got them in this debt, I feel like it might be one of those things. Like I said, he's done it so they have somewhere to live. Like so he's done the best he could with what he had, given that he was probably still a teenager or a kid himself, so that they weren't like living on the streets or whatever, they weren't starving. And so sometimes you're at a limit as to what you can do, and depending on if you've got someone else dependent on you as well, your morals are definitely going to be compromised. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like if you have someone else, especially someone who's smaller and weaker than you, you're going to be more inclined to you're definitely probably going to be pushed to question things that maybe normally morality, in a moral sense, you probably wouldn't do for yourself, but you might do it for someone else.
Yeah, you will be able to justify it to yourself because you have someone to
depending on you. But yeah, it's one of those things we sort of see like in the very first episode as well, how transactional Salom's life is. Like it's considering he's basically sort of said in the very beginning that he's basically someone who is in the category of without. It's all about having something, but it's not selfishly driven or self-motivated, or like he's not like someone who covets what other people have or something, but it's like most of his interactions with people are transactional. And he does that for his morality and his dignity, and to, as I said, to keep his head held high or whatever, because he won't take anything without, like he doesn't want to. I guess he's the opposite of his brother. If this debt belongs to his brother, then he is the opposite of that. He doesn't want to owe anybody anything. Like everything is a transaction. You do this for me, then I've got to give you this, or I've got to do this for you in exchange for it. I'm not just going to take it for nothing. Like we see his friend Otto's mum giving him food. She obviously works in the canteen of the school, and so he takes it because he helps the son, like he tutors his friend
Yes.
and helps him with his homework and stuff. So it's a transaction between the two of them, kind of thing.
And then we see Otto being bullied by Kang.
Kang and his gang. It rhymes.
Yes. Quite hated him. I didn't like him. I remember I was so mad at him that I didn't remember his name at the beginning.
Yeah.
I just call him the dumb one in our conversations.
It's so funny because I mean, like as an actor, I quite like him. Like I was really looking forward to. What did we watch? What was it called? What was the other drama called that we saw them in as a couple?
Never Let Me Go. Yeah.
Yeah, Never Let Me Go. Yeah, that's right. I really liked them in that, and I was really interested to see his acting in this and stuff like that. So I was like, I didn't like him either, but I was intrigued, and I obviously, it's a romance, so they're going to get us there somehow. Was where my thought process. But I was like, oh my god, wow, this is bad. And in actual fact, when I was watching the bullying scenes as well, I thought I even kind of was a bit like upset with GMM, who are the production company for this show, for those who don't know, for like even going there. I mean, it's a reality, let's face it. This world we live in now is the worst it's ever been for bullying, and so it is a good commentary on that, I guess, but at the same time I was really upset. So I'm glad you actually sent me some behind the scenes clips, and I was really glad to see those actually, because it was really nice to see the actors after they had filmed those being all like, are you okay, to the one that had been bullied in the scene. And that was really kind of like nice to see, because a couple of the scenes were pretty full on. Yeah,
And it goes on forever. 2 fucking episodes. I was wondering how they would go back from it, because they went past the point of no return in my view, the way I see the world, but somehow they did it. They came back, they returned. I was wondering how they do it.
It was very clever. There's some very good writing, some very good direction, and some very good acting came into part. And I think if one of those three things had been missing, it probably wouldn't have worked. And I'm interested to see if they, because sometimes with these sorts of dramas as well, they do like a slippery slide back into the wrong direction.
Oh yes.
And you find yourself going, oh no, why did you do this? You've ruined the morality of this character that you've just built up. So I really hope they don't do that. So fingers crossed, but we'll see how we go. But I did have some commentary still early on in the first episode. So I noticed as well that like Salom and his two friends, not there's three of them together, two friends. So we had Otto, whose mum, as I said, appears to work for the school, which is probably where his scholarship has come from, because he's also a scholarship student. We have Salom, whose scholarship is paid by Kang's family, so that's like a tricky little thing right there. And then we have the third friend, which I believe his name is Guy, and I'm only getting that because he literally wears like a sports jersey with the name Guy on the back. I don't think they ever actually mention his name. And he plays sports.
It is Guy.
Yeah. Well, he plays sports, so I'm assuming he's on some sort of sports scholarship. And I think it's really interesting that the three of them are friends. Are they friends by choice, or is it because they've been segregated because they're the scholarship students? You know what I mean? So I kind of thought that was interesting. Yeah, they're the outcasts. Yeah. Although no one else seems to be really concerned about them or mean to them or anything like that, except for Kang and his gang. Every time I say Kang and his gang, I'm going to laugh because it rhymes. But yeah, so in the first episode, we have that first instance of bullying with Otto, and someone was smart enough to film a video of it, but not smart enough, or rather naive, to think that it's going to be enough against someone who is, has more power than him and more influence. So he's a good person, so he still expects other people to do the right thing. That all just happens in the very first quarter of the first episode.
Otto is getting bullied, right? And Kang and the friend guy, they see it and they decide to film it. And then Kang goes to the teacher to show the filming and expects the teacher to do something about it. But instead, the teacher calls Kang into the room and makes it look like is just it's the whole vibe of the scene. It's like Salem is one who did something wrong. He
That's
turns it
right.
on him.
It's like you've taken it too seriously. It's just good-natured boys fun, that kind of like stupidity that, people like to go with. But yeah, so, and that, as I said, that all happens sort of in the majority of that happens in the first part of the episode, and then we sort of move into the second part of the episode, and as you said, he goes to the teacher. What I did notice in this very first episode, and I don't know if you'll agree with me because clearly you said you didn't like him, but Kang is very charismatic.
Yeah,
with
for sure.
everybody else, you know what I mean? With the teachers, with the other students that like him and stuff, he's very charismatic. So I could understand why the teachers liked him and stuff. Besides the fact that he has money and so they're all sucking up his ass. First, like, kind of swear. He is he's charismatic. Like, he just has that kind of like, maybe I just think Perth's a hottie. I don't know. But I found him charismatic. The thing that got me in that scene that you were talking about with the teacher. So he basically, the teacher then proceeds to bully Salom into deleting the file, because he basically says to him, if you don't delete it, I will take away points from your grade. And there's probably some sort of clause in his scholarship. Most scholarships have some, especially academic ones, have some sort of clause about, having to maintain your grades. So that's a threat. So he's now the teacher is now bullying the student. So he deletes it because, like, he has no choice.
Exactly.
And I don't know if you notice it, and as he's deleting it, the teacher walks behind him and looks at Kang, and like, he doesn't wink at him, but it's close enough. He has this expression on his face, like, like, I've got your back kind of thing.
Mm.
And oh my god, did it piss me off. Like, I was so mad. I forgot how mad I was when I watched it the first time, but when I rewatched the episode, I got mad all over again. Like, I was so angry. I was like, you bastard, like, you're supposed to be shaping these minds, and instead you're just like warping them. Like, what is wrong with you? But clearly he's not a teacher, he's not an educator, he is someone who is trying to, I don't know, get something from Kang. Like, I don't know. And then that sort of made me start to think about as well, like, from Kang's point of view, how many people must he interact with on a daily basis that
like
are
this.
kind to him or do something for him because they want something in response to that. So that kind of made me feel a little bit bad for him for like 5 seconds, and then he did something, dickish
But
again, and then I felt bad.
At the same time, you don't respect people who act like this around you, right?
Oh, of course.
This is what might explain why he looks down on them as well. They're trying to please him, and he sees them as less.
For sure. Yeah.
Then they go outside of the room, and
I love
Salem
this bit.
is held against the wall, and he's not impressed at all by this. Kang is trying to get him scared, to get him to bend, right?
Yep, back down, yep. Because anyone else would have been like pissing themselves and like begging for, Kang's forgiveness or acceptance or whatever. And he would not respect them at all. Like, he would take that because, like, he feels, this version of Kang feels like he's owed that. But he's not going to respect. It's like he would do that and then he's done. There's no joy in it. There's no whatever. But Salom is not scared, and Salom will not back down. He will not bend. And
he has a fucking smile on his face, and it's so sassy. And
I know, right? It is. It's so sassy. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like Kang is at this point in time, Kang thinks, like, when they first walk out of the room from the teacher, he thinks he's won. Like, he thinks that he has something he can hold over Salom, that he can get him to bow down and kiss his shoes and, beg for forgiveness. Like, as I said, like any of the other students would do. But I just said, no, he's sassy. He smiles. He does not back down.
He doesn't take him seriously.
No, he spits on Kang's shoes.
Oh, yes.
And Kang feels kind of frustrated and confused because, I feel like he just doesn't really know what to do, like what to do with him. So But
Yeah.
yeah, and then of course we're introduced to the girl character. I'm going to call her the girl character. I did actually write her name down. I think it's like
Simpa.
Pumfar or
Simpa.
something. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you said you didn't like her initially.
Yes,
I didn't
I didn't
I
like
didn't
her because why a good person would hang out with people who, and she knows how of how they act. She sees it
mm,
because later she turns on him, on his grandmother, right?
yeah.
But she still hangs out with them, and that made me not like her in the beginning. I did not
Yeah.
trust.
Well, I must admit, I didn't dislike her in the beginning. I don't actually think she hangs out with them per se. I think she's friends with Kang. And I think what we'll find out later on, and what we're sort of starting to find out, is I think that they're family friends, or they've been friends for a long time. So I think she probably, out of all of his friends, knows more about him and about who he used to be and who he, where he's gone wrong, sort of thing, than like his friends who are just as big a douchebags as he is. But I didn't dislike her, but I was a bit concerned because she seems to be the only like main real female character, and I'm still worried now that she's going to be used as a tool to create like jealousy and conflict between them. Because let's face it, in a lot of BLs, that's all the girls are good for, and it really pisses me off when they do that. So I really hope they don't do that with her. It doesn't look like they're going to. They do that a lot. So that was my main fear when I saw her. I went, oh, don't tell me they just introduced a girl because, it's going to turn out she's in love with Kang or like whatever. And I'm just like, I don't want that drama. I feel like this story has plenty of drama without needing that storyline. Like, GMM themselves have proven a bunch of times now that you don't actually need that trope to make a good story and to have drama. But yeah, so and I was watching as well, and I'm thinking about specifically the bullying between Salom and Kang and the violence or lack of violence in there. Like, it's kind of interesting because I guess it depends on your take. But if you look at the bullying that goes on with Otto, they
Hmm.
hit him. They do, like, there's physical violence is involved, and then
Oh yeah.
basically, yeah. But basically, with Kang, when it's Kang and Salom and they're on their own, it's basically he's like, bow down to me sort of thing.
Hmm.
um bend to my will is what he's essentially after. And he gets one of his minions, I'm not really sure, to throw water on him, which, okay, technically is an assault, I guess. If it wasn't water and it was something more serious, it would be classed as an assault, but it's not really violent. And then he gets his minions to like destroy his belongings and to break that chair that he sits on, and he falls down, which he potentially could have injured himself. But I don't know. It's not really clear that he necessarily asked them to do that specifically. I think he just asked them to mess with him, which is what they did. But so far there's been no like real violence between them. You know what I mean? It's all just kind of like he's trying. It's actually kind of funny because he tries to be sort of intellectual with his bullying of Salom, which is like his first mistake because he's not smart enough. Um, so, but there's some, that's, as I said, that's all stuff happening in just the second part. And then in the third part, I really liked the table bit. I thought there was GMM is sometimes really good at just doing like a little bit of humor. So where Kang and his friends come over and they're like, get out of this table, we want to sit here, to Salom and his friends. And I don't know which one it is. One of them says, do you think, like, why do you think your father's name is on this table or something? And he sort of gestures, and sure enough, his dad's name is actually on the table because he donated it. So I thought that was quite funny at the time. A little bit of humor there when it was getting a little bit serious.
Yeah, that, and also the moment, it wasn't as serious at the beginning, but also that moment with the K-pop thing where
Ticket.
the mother of Otto comes to their table and she teases him about listening to K-pop music and dancing or singing.
It was cute, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because once again, this whole him coming over to the table thing as well is like a really lame attempt at like Kang trying to kind of like bug Salom, but Salom's just trying to do his homework. He's not even really paying attention to them until he's just like, let's just go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've got stuff to do, but he doesn't
It's like
really, really care.
he doesn't want to engage. Like Kang is not even that important or interesting, so to engage with him and fight him back.
That's right. He has too many other issues, sort of thing. But at the same time, by this stage, I think he's like expecting him to sort of like mess with him, because the next thing we see is he turns up to the car wash where Salom works, and
love
Salom is just
that.
expecting him to mess with him, and of course he's way smarter. And I loved the way he kept squashing Kang's attempts at like getting something over him. And I love how like Kang's like, he's being all, cocky and whatever else, and he's like, there are two types of people in this world: the car owner and the car washer, and then we have him try and basically make it look like Salom has stolen his card, but Salom is not that dumb, and so he puts the card back on Kang. And I love how his response is basically
Two kinds of people in this world:
people.
the smart people and the ones who think they're smart, right?
Yeah, the ones who just think they're smart. And then he walks off and he's like whooping, like woohoo, woohoo. And I was just like, it's so funny. Because Kang is so fucking mad. Like he's just like he legit does not understand.
He has been played like a child and
for sure.
basically humiliated when he was the one who wanted to do that to Salom.
Yeah, for sure. And then like we see him in the last part of this episode, we see him being sweet to his grandma, and I'm like, well, he can't be all bad. He's sweet to his grandma, but I still was sort of losing hope a little bit as how I'm like, how are they going to redeem him at this point? And then I started wondering, like, because we get the last scene of the episode basically is they're trying to bully Otto again, although I really think at this point he's just using Otto to get Salom there, because it's Salom now. He's really turned his focus, and it's not as fun bullying anyone else. He's obsessed with getting the reaction that he wants. We get that whole scene where basically he once again tries to get him to sort of bend down and kiss his feet or whatever he's going for, and then when that's not really working for him, because the
It doesn't work because Otto asks him to. He doesn't want Salom to go through that, and he basically presents himself as a victim so that Salom can redirect all his not anger, but bullying onto him, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's like, it's one of those things. It's actually really sweet. Like the friendship between the three of them is really sweet, I think. As I said, Otto is trying to kind of stop himself from stop, Salom from getting involved, but then at the same time Salom doesn't want his friend to lower himself or beg on his behalf either. Like he's very kind of firm about that. And then I started having these thoughts, because of course his next thing is now like, okay, we'll take your shirt off and kiss your friend. And I'm like, do you have like repressed sexuality here or something? Like, why are you asking him to take his clothes off? Like, and then it's like, is it a commentary? Like, you could go, he's clearly not homophobic because they fall in love, but like it has to be repressed sexuality or something, because does he think it's humiliating to have him kiss another guy, or is he just trying to make him uncomfortable? Like, why take the shirt off? Like, I'm watching it and I'm just going like, does he just want to see him without his shirt on?
My note says, what with this obsession to undress Salom?
Yeah. But you know what? And of course, the best moment of the episode, of course, is when he turns it around and instead kisses Kang. And he clearly has no problem. Like, Salom turns it around. He has no problems kissing a boy. Kissing a boy's fine. So he kisses Kang, and it's actually the most awesome thing ever. Not that I advocate kissing people without their permission, but on this instance, I think it's okay. Yeah. Well, my takeaways kind of like from the first episode were basically the bit where Kang sort of says to him, he basically sort of says to him, be obedient, I believe is like the translation of one of the things he says to him before, like he even suggests the kissing thing, like, you should be obedient to me. And I'm just like, wow, really? And it's kind of funny because that does factor in a little bit later on, but like my other takeaway was like, well, as a first kiss, it definitely wasn't really one to inspire any romance or anything. So it wasn't like the first kiss, you know, or anything like that. What I did notice though, when I was watching the intro for episode 2, you know, and they do like the little bit of flashbacks and everything like that. And actually it wasn't the intro. At the beginning of episode 2, Otto is daydreaming about Salom kissing Kang. And I think I wrote a question later on, like after watching episode 3 or 4, where I was like, do we think he's gonna like start shipping them soon? But like, I mean, he loved the like twist and the revenge of it all, but I'm like, he seems to be thinking way too much about the fact that they've kissed.
Zoe, before starting episode 2, I think we should take a break.
We should. Okay, let's do that. Let's take a break. All right.
So episode 2.
Episode 2. Okay, so before we finished off, I was about to say something, and for once I've actually remembered what it was. So I was actually wrong though. I thought it was during like the sort of like flashback, or when Otto was daydreaming about Salom kissing Kang. But in actual fact, one of the things that happens is, of course, because the revolting students that were witnessing that bullying were all filming it, there was the beginning of the episode starts with Kang and his minions. I don't know what his friends' names are. Do you know what his friends' names are?
I think it's Nava and Max.
Oh, Max. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm never gonna. I'll probably forget that in like 5 minutes time. But anyway, so they're basically trying to get rid of all of the recordings of Salom kissing Kang, because and so even his friends were filming it, because like they were initially trying to, as I said, get Salom to kiss Otto, and there were jokes about putting it on TikTok and all the rest of that sort of stuff. So so the beginning of the episode is basically them trying to ferret out and get rid of all the videos. But one slips through, and of course it's his friend is an idiot and didn't delete it. And so his mother sends it to the grandmother. And so when the grandmother's watching it, it actually, like, you see a little bit of it, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it looks like Kang doesn't actually shove Salom away. He actually grabs onto him, but he doesn't push him away like straight away. So I don't know whether that's because he's like, because he's shocked or like what, but I did kind of think that was funny and interesting. But
I think it's because he was shocked in that moment. He did not expect that at all.
Yeah, I mean, like, he couldn't have in his at all like little mind imagined that would be the outcome. It definitely wasn't his plan.
We see the grandma.
We see grandma watching the video, and then of course, Kang tries to use it to his advantage by getting back at Salom by saying that Salom is the bully, which, like, I mean, really, because, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a bit of you know, I'm not really quite sure how he thought that would be a believable thing, because we have we have Salom, who is very intelligent, and he's basically like, what, he's going to be a bully? He has nothing. He's there only by the grace of their privilege, and like,
I think he did not have a lot of time to think about it. He was stressed in the moment because the grandma, he was scared to.
Oh, of course, disappoint her or whatever. Yeah, but I'm just like thinking, like, I feel like from not only from his perspective being a bad thing, I feel like that she must have been skeptical because, like, she was
Yeah,
what
for sure.
kind of scholarship student would bully others when they have no power? um, like and someone of privilege, like, why? That just wouldn't happen. So I mean, I feel like that factors into like perhaps why she spoke to the girl in regards to the incident, like, because I feel like she was probably already like, really,
Suspicious.
Kang, really, are you sure that's what happened?
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, so we get the scene of the grandma goes to school and goes into the principal, I guess principal, like she gives her a different title. Sorry, I'm totally gonna make a weird noise. My air conditioner is on and I didn't realize. So technical difficulties. I mean, it's nice and cool, but I'm thinking it might be making noise, background noise. Yeah, so they call her something else. Was it chancellor or I don't know, something like that? But basically, we would call them a school principal. Um, and so yeah, they get called into, basically Salom and Kang get called into the school principal's office, where there's the grandmother and the asshole teacher who is not at all on
Why is that
Salom's
teacher
side.
there though?
Sorry,
Why was that teacher called?
because he's their homeroom teacher, I believe. So
Mm-hmm.
he's like probably the teacher that spends the most time with them. So I guess he was probably there to lend credence as to who was telling the truth or something. Although like
Mm-hmm.
he knows nothing about he knows nothing about integrity or truth telling. And so of course we see the grandmother sort of bring up the video, and you kind of see on Salom's face that he's like, oh, I'm fucked. That's it. I'm bye scholarship.
Yeah, he looks
um
like he accepted the situation. He knew
yeah,
he knew he was not going to bend down and lie and
that's right. He was
um
not willing to
humiliate
compromise
himself.
his integrity or his dignity
Exactly.
by saying he did something when he didn't do it, and so, or admitting to something he didn't do. And so we get this stalemate, and it's funny because when they're talking, like when they're all talking about it, the grandmother's talking, the teacher's talking, and all that, and Kang's got this like look on his face of like kind of like tempered glee, like he can't wait, this is
Yes.
finally going to be the moment where Salom bends down. And instead he gets a like, nah, sorry, I can't
And
do
also,
that.
it's also interesting that the grandmother did ask Salam to ask for forgiveness from Kang. Why did she do that? Was she testing him? Was she curious about him? Curious why to Kang was bullying him? Because at this point she already knew
She knows
what was
parts of it.
happening.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like it was probably to test him a little bit. I mean, she clearly has a plan, which we find out afterwards. Like she's thought about a punishment for Kang. And I guess she's testing out to whether or not that's something that she should engage in or not, based on the
First
kind
year
of
or not?
person
Yeah.
that Salom is. And so the fact that he refuses, and the thing that gets me is it's so funny because he's so expecting it. And when he refuses, Kang's shock is just like people probably usually trying to like, lie to get stuff from him and his family, and he's just like he like can't believe, I think, that like he would in this instance, at least not, bow down or whatever, and probably also in front of the authority too as well. Um, but yeah, I like the grandma, and I really hope I'm gonna continue to like her. Um, and it's so funny
Yeah,
when
she's
she
amazing.
then
She's
she then
amazing.
sort of turns it around and tells Kang to apologize to Salom because she knows that his story is like a big tub of bullshit. And then we get that flashback scene where she's talking to the girlfriend, and the girl who is a friend, not the girlfriend. And she's basically saying, she tells the truth about what's happened, and that it's actually Kang and his friends bullying Salom and his friends, and when
Yes,
asked, sorry,
that was the moment. That was the moment when I started liking her.
yeah. You're like, well, okay then. And I mean, and I think as well, like her reasoning for telling, like the grandmother says, why are you telling me this sort of thing? And she says, well, because I'm concerned about, like, the person he's becoming. And that to me indicates right there that she's someone who's known him for a long time and that she cares about, who he is and what's
And
going to happen in his future, sort of thing. So I liked it too, but I really still hope they keep her as the good friend that she is. So, but then of course, so Kane.
that's probably, I'm sorry,
No,
and
you're right.
that's probably he wasn't like this all the time.
No. Well,
Maybe.
we now know by, like, what is it, the end of episode 2 or is it the end of episode 3? We know that he wasn't always like this. We get the flashback scene from Salom that shows us he wasn't always like this. He used to be kind and considerate. So stuff happened to him, that changed him. So, and if he kept going, he was just going to get worse, wasn't he? He wasn't going to get any better. So there's nobody except for his grandma. There's nobody calling him up on his behavior, So anyway, she tells Kang he needs to apologize, and I actually feel like, I don't know, I'm interested to know your opinion on this, but I actually feel like he sounded sorry, and he sounded sorry, and it was quite and intense to me. Like, his facial expression was a mix of, like, confusion and earnestness. Like, he can't believe he's apologizing.
I think he kind of realized that he had been defeated. He lost the battle. This was a battle. This was a fight, and he lost it. And
Yeah.
it's like he accepted he does not. It's not possible to win in a fight like this with Salam.
Yeah.
Does he do anything else before he goes with a gun to his house, or because this makes sense? If he understood that it's not possible to bend him down like this, then we try
He has no
something
other
else.
choice. Yeah. And it's like he, but to me it's really funny. Like, I don't know, if you watch that scene again, like, he seems, I don't know, to me it's like a mixture of confusion and earnestness, where, as I said, he can't believe, like, he's apologizing, and maybe he's like, and maybe he means it a little bit, and he's like shocked because he doesn't want to be sorry or something. Like, there seemed to me, it was like there was all these emotions going on, and as I said, I could be reading too much into it. But I kind of, like, that was sort of something, that sort of stuck to me. And oh, haha, I just went haha because I literally have in my notes written haha. But I wrote haha because I thought it was funny. So then we move on, and it's the next scene, and we have Kang's grandmother offers Salom a job of tutoring Kang, much to Kang's disgust and outrage. And so then we get this insight that, like, maybe she was trying to check his morality because she was going to invite him to play a bigger role in his life, and maybe he might be a positive influence instead of a negative influence. I feel like she was trying to check that, by testing him.
You mentioned that you like the grandmother, and I also like her. And you mentioned that you hope she doesn't become an issue in the future. And I think she won't. I think maybe the father will be the issue. Maybe he starts caring and doing stuff about, tries to influence Kang, and asks for things from him when Kang already doesn't want that.
Yeah, I feel like you could be right, because I feel like, and I'll touch on this later on when we speak about the other episodes, but I feel like the grandmother would have to be really dumb not to realize that there's something there between them later on. But I hope that she's not. I hope that she's the positive influence that she is now, continuing on. Especially because they both respect her. She's in this position where they both respect her, and I feel like you're right. I feel like we're probably getting a little bit ahead of us because we haven't really sort of spoken overly much about the father. But I mean, Kang's thing basically with his father is, and we find that out, I think, in episode 3, is that he basically has very little interest in his son and doesn't expect anything from him. And wouldn't it be, you're correct, wouldn't it be just that twist of, irony, if the one thing he expects from Kang or wants from Kang is to fall in line and stop being, like, gay with his boyfriend or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Because he is in a position of politician, politics. So, you know, maybe image is important to him, and maybe that's like the one thing, like, oh, his son can be a bully or a really crap student, but by God, don't be gay. Like, you know, like it would not surprise me. And that will be the one thing that I don't think he'll be able to give him, because, you know, like, you can't change who you are, you know. And I feel like by that point, if we get to that point, I feel like he's not going to want to, because his father has never been there, whereas Salom will have been so ingrained in him by then, that I feel like, yeah, I have a whole thing about that, which I'll talk about when we talk about the OSTs. But yeah, I definitely, I'm hoping she's not going to be a problem. But yeah, the reason why I wrote ha ha down was because the bit where she tries to give, because basically she offers the job to Salom, and Salom is like, fuck no. Which I feel like is fairly warranted. He's like, I'm not spending time with that gremlin unless I have to. But she tries to give him her business card, and as she's sort of handing it to him, Kang like reaches out and like tries to take it instead. I'm not quite sure what he thought he was going to do there, but yeah, she's just like literally like, are you serious? And hands it to Salom. And I must admit, the first time I watched it, I laughed like crazy, and then when I rewatched it, I laughed like crazy as well. I thought it was a great comic moment without it being like stupid. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was no stupid or cheesiness or like inappropriate or what. Like, it was just a cute, funny comic moment of just like him being completely like, you know, he's just he doesn't know what to do at this point. He has no idea. He's like, what do I do now? You know.
Yeah.
But it's quite funny, really.
The only thing that he wants to do is to bend Kang, and right now he doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah. Well, the next thing I think he does is, because of course, something that's happening across these couple of episodes is that Salom's laptop is broken, and of course he can't just go out and buy a new one, because, you know, I mean, he's carrying around a bag that is held together with safety pins, which I noticed as well on my rewatch.
Yeah.
Because Kang and all his friends cut up the bag and destroyed it, and, you know, rather than buying a new one, because money doesn't grow on trees for him, you know, they're lucky if they get to eat, so buying a new bag is not like really an option, so buying a laptop is out of the question. That adds more pressure. Like, that broken laptop has added more pressure to Salom's life, you know. We have the debt collectors turn up. We're introduced to the debt collectors. Before, up until that point, we're really just sort of being told there's a debt. And they're not, like, I didn't find them overly impressive in the first meeting. I was more intrigued by the fact that supposedly the guy in charge was somebody the brother went to high school with, and I was like, did they have a moment?
We had to talk about it.
Yeah, I had my BL goggles on, where I'm like, everybody should be gay, and I was like, did they have a moment? I don't know that they did. I'm thinking probably not, now that we've seen
probably not. Yeah. I agree.
But I was like, damn, missed opportunity. But I wasn't overly impressed. You know, a couple of thugs, and he seemed to have a bit of presence, the guy in charge, but I wasn't overly, you know, concerned. But we see them basically putting pressure on for payment, and then you also see Salom sort of considering Grandma's offer to tutor, but not really overly seriously at that point. And then, of course, it moves on to, it looks like we're going to have a secondary couple.
I want to say something else about the scene with the debt collectors.
Oh, yeah, sure.
During the scene, we see how Salam's brother, Saifa, I think.
Yeah.
How he manages to get them more time. He knows how to speak to these people. He knows how to handle himself and them. And it looks like he's been through the situation multiple times. And he's the one who takes matters into his hands. And Salam, he basically hides. He's not someone who can just get out of this situation safely. He cannot. He will not talk with them in a way that will hurt his pride. And I feel like his brother doesn't really see it this way.
Yeah, his brother definitely, and I noticed as well that his name was Sapphire as well, but he's forever going to be Goompa for me, and so people who know what we're talking about will understand when I say that. But and in actual fact, I didn't realize what his name was until I was watching the rewatching the fourth episode tonight, and he introduces him to the to Kang's grandmother. He says his name, and I was like, oh, that's his name. Oh well, no, sorry, you're Goompa. But in my mind, I've been calling him Goompa all this time. So anyway, he acts the fool. You know, he
Yes,
acts harmless and he acts the fool, and he's all like, oh, you know, like, and as you said, he acts like the fool, and so
he
Salom could never
uses
do that.
everything that he has. He uses his connection. He uses like his charm. Oh, I knew the guy. I knew you. You know me, right? Give me my time, please. Like everything that he has, he uses
Yeah.
all the tools. He knows how to do this.
Yeah, connection, all the rest of it. I said, whereas Salom would never do that. You know, if he had a connection, we're going to see that in the future. I feel like
Yes.
and that's going to be conflict between Kang and Salom in their relationship, is that he will back down from using the connection rather than going to Kang when he needs him, which will cause, as I said, drama, I think. But yeah, he it's the interaction, you're correct, it's definitely, and I also think he's afraid of them. I mean, obviously stuff's happened in the past. It gets mentioned
Salon?
later on, like, yeah, Salom, like the violence. He's afraid of the violence, and because it makes sense a little bit why he might be more afraid of the debt collectors than, say, like Kang, because the debt collectors are adults and Kang is like another kid, basically. Well, another, you know, like he's his peer. It's a bit different.
Yes, it's a child's play with Kang, and it's a real adult stuff with debt
Well, that's
collectors.
right. It could potentially be life or death with the debt collectors, depending on their mood swing of the day, you know. So
I feel like every time they get him alone, Salam, it does not go well for him. And while Saifa is able to
talk his way
de-escalate the
out.
situation, yeah.
Yeah. So I think so too. But yeah, so going back to our secondary couple, it definitely looks like that's where they're going with this. So the two friends, so Guy, and which one is the one that is the other person?
I think it's Nava.
Nava.
I
So
think
yes,
so.
so basically the enemies. There's this whole scene where Kang's friends are talking about going after Guy in the toilet. One thinks it's a good idea, and obviously the one who's eager to do it thinks it's a great idea and sort of goes in there. And I must admit, when it initially happened, I'm thinking, oh, secret romance. There's a secret romance. They're like been making out for months behind everyone's back. But then I sort of reevaluated and I was like, no, I can't imagine Guy letting this guy like beat up Auto. So, and I feel like if there had been some sort of secret romance, you would see those scenes and that particular character would be taking a step back from the violence and from the, whereas that definitely wasn't the case. He was definitely a protagonist and an antagonist in that, making it worse than it necessarily needed to be. So of course that's not what we got. We didn't get secret rendezvous kisses in the bathroom, although I feel like there might be some in the future. No, we got to fight. We got to fight between the two of them.
The way they fight, I feel like it's they play by the rules of the game. Like they respect each other. They stop when the fight when it's in there's inequality in the fight. Like this sportsmanship somehow in the way they interact with each other. When with Salam and Kang, it's not like that.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of respect they seem to have for one another, because he, like, the one who is the privileged one sort of says to the one who's on scholarship, because he could very easily have gotten rid of him in like one, you know, like one, by just saying, you know, yes, he's the one who damaged my arm, because he was the injured one. The privileged one is very clearly the injured one. And it would have been very probably an open and shut case of saying, yes, he did this to me, and they would have gotten rid of him and away he would have gone. And so, but he didn't do that. Instead, he's like, I tripped and fell, like, just like the funniest thing ever. But anyway, and then when he's questioned by Guy, he's like, well, because that's no fun. Like, you know, if I want to be the one to take you out, not like some teacher making some decision based on some rule that's like not even right or whatever anyway.
Exactly.
And then, even as you said, there seems to be this grudging sportsmanship sort of, like, as I said, kind of respect thing between them, because they keep talking about how they're going to fight again, but they're waiting until the other one is not injured anymore so that they have
Yeah.
like a somewhat even playing field. So it's just their interactions are quite amusing and interesting. So
Yes.
while I'm not really overly kind of invested, I don't really care one way or the other at this point. I am enjoying when they interact. So
They are the easier stuff that's happening right now.
yeah.
And the interactions between Kang and Salam are the heavier stuff. I wanted to say how heavy and serious the first two episodes are. You always feel tense. You always feel like something's coming, and you're not sure. Salam cannot keep dodging these attacks all the time. You know it's coming. So
Mm.
there's this feeling, something bad is going to happen. And I also noticed they did not use the intro song in the first episode because it's such a happy song. It's very optimistic and positive, and it would have not fit the episode as a lot at all.
Yeah.
Have you
I
noticed?
must admit I didn't notice that, but I'm not surprised. Um and because as they move in, you know, I'm not surprised they haven't used the song, the OSTs until we get to like episode 3. It doesn't make sense to use it until then, sort of thing. So but yeah,
Yes.
so of course we get, after we get the secondary couple like moments, we then get Kang trying to bully or harass, I guess, Salom again. And once again, it's non-violent. It's he's messing with him. He's trying to do his homework on the computer. He turns the computer off and he's like, you know, you should have saved it. And I loved Salom's like, the cloud exists. Like he's like, how,
I love
you
it.
know, like I didn't need to back it up, you fool. Like he's just like being like, how dumb are you? And
It's
then
like he's
he's
trying
turning
to
it
challenge
around,
us.
yeah, and then he's turning it around and like threatening to call the grandma and like to tutor him. Because he's now got something that he knows he doesn't want, sort of thing.
He
And
has
then we
something
see,
against him, yeah.
yeah, he's got something he can threaten him with. And then of course, and he makes that call. He rings the grandmother and's like, sure, totally, I'll do it. Because I think at this point he's just annoyed. Like he's just like, leave me alone. Okay, you won't leave me alone. All right, let's do this because I know you really don't want to do this. And then of course we get the whole cheat sheet maker section of the episode where basically he's like, you know, just take the money without doing any work. Like just give me the answers. You don't need to, and all that sort of stuff. He doesn't get that the idea of money between the two of them is completely different. And that he also doesn't understand Salom would never take something without receiving something in return. So um
He's obsessed and he's fascinated and he's attracted and he's confused and he's angry. There's so much going on.
oh my
And
god, there is.
Perth
He he
explains
really
it so
he
well.
really has no idea. And it's funny because I feel like after seeing sort of episode 3 and that, especially, you see so much more. Like when you rewatch it, you realize that he's actually going through a lot of stuff. Like he's actually, this is definitely going to be, I think I said to you before, like you see moments with Salom where you can tell he sort of thinks Kang's cute, or
Mhm.
like he's attracted, or like whatever, or he has like moments where he thinks like maybe he might be an alright guy, or like whatever, which not in this point in time, but like you see bits of that. Whereas Kang, you just sort of, he's just, you can see him sliding. He's just like, he's fallen and he can't get up. He just hasn't realized it yet. But he's becoming obsessed. Like he's like us. He's become obsessed. He's
That's
so
all he can think about is how to get
interested.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah, how
he's
to intrigued and
he's so intrigued. He's just not like anybody he's ever met. And it's just like he thinks that he wants this thing from him, and it's so amazing when he finds out that he was wrong. Like it's the best thing ever. But yeah, he's got this whole thing like, do whatever you want, just take whatever you want and it doesn't matter. And then, he's trying to get Salom to make him the cheat sheets, and then we get the whole scene where Salom gives him the eraser with all the wrong answers on it, which is also a brilliant turn of events. And I love that they revisit the eraser later on. Like, I love that gets brought up later on. He then does that really horrible thing to Salom where he basically posts online somehow or something about him being like a pedophile or
Yes.
whatever. And
Yes. Salam
this
is working as a tutor to
small kids,
little
like
kids. Yeah.
primary school kids, yeah.
Yeah, and he loses a customer. I mean, because the mother sees someone posted on the parents' group chat that someone basically pointing,
The finger at him, sort of.
yeah, that Salam is a pedophile.
Yeah.
And
This was the moment that I was just like, oh wow, how can they come back from this? Because this legitimately, once again, it's non-violent, but this has the potential to ruin his whole future. We know, once something's on the internet, it's on the internet forever. You know what I mean? So, and I'm just like,
yeah,
I'm really kind of upset that they actually haven't addressed that properly. Like, nothing has been said about that. Maybe they're thinking it's not as serious because it was just put in a group chat or whatever.
and
But
also I think he did not specify his name. He said there's someone, and
like a tutor or something. Yeah.
yes, there is a pedophile. He did not say it was Salam. I mean, maybe that's why they did not address it. People assumed it was him. The parents assumed it was him, but I don't think they would start actually talking about it. The thing that the mother did, maybe she did it because other parents would look at you weird if you like. There's this
Yeah.
rumor or
She
this.
That's right. Well, she did sort of say to him, I don't really want to do it because you're a really good
Yeah,
tutor and she likes you. We like you, but like I have to be sure. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I can't be wrong because that's not something you can be wrong about as a mother. Like, honestly, I understand her motivation. You can't be wrong about something like that because, I mean, obviously
yeah. That's
you can't take it on yourself to then do something bad to that person on the assumption that they're doing something. But her withdrawing her child from his care is not the wrong
yeah,
thing in that instance. I don't necessarily think, but like
yeah.
it did have. I didn't realize his name wasn't on it. So okay, that's a little bit that changes it a little bit, but it's still pretty fucking shitty. And it's just like,
He
and the
finally
thing,
succeeds in hurting him for real. Like it
yeah,
finally affected him. Kang was
yeah,
waiting for his reaction, and when it comes, when Salam comes to him again, even though he was waiting for a reaction, he was surprised by it.
yeah. Yeah, well, because I mean, he's been waiting for him to have a reaction for so long, and this is the thing that, and it's not even. I don't think it's just this. Like, he's angry, but then he brings his brother into it, and I think
Oh
that is the
yes,
like. I think that's like the
looking down at
strawberry or the
him.
cherry on top of the sundae or whatever. Or that there's that saying. What's that saying? The straw that broke the camel's back. Like, that is the moment where he breaks him a little bit down, and he accidentally lets his morals slip a little bit. But it's interesting. Just before we talk about that, I just wanted to talk about the fact that, as I said, so up until now, even still, his bullying of Salom has been non-violent. But what he doesn't realize at this point is by getting him fired could mean violence for Salom.
Yeah,
But he has no idea of that at this point. So, but and in hindsight, watching this, we didn't have that information either because we only have the information they've given us. But looking back, it's very interesting that even though this is a non-violent thing, by messing with his income, he's actually created violence potentially.
yeah, dangerous situation for him.
Yeah, and so his whole thing, because we had the whole section where he was like, Salam's like, money can't buy everything, when he was trying to do the sheets, and his response when he comes to him about the messages in the parents group chat is, money can buy everything, and you should have taken my offer from the start. He says to him, money can buy everything. And it made me go back to the fact that Salam's whole life is transactional. So if you take it under the idea of money can buy everything, money can buy him a tutor, and money can buy the tutor's body. And the reason why I bring that up is because that comes up later on in episode 4. And I wonder if this will get mentioned later on. Like, I wonder if there'll be something where Kang will say something about how he can be bought. You know, when we've been told, Salom has told Kang that money can't buy everything.
Yeah.
I feel like if when we get to the point where
Will
in
that
this
scene
point,
happen from the
yeah,
trailer?
in that scene, there's a scene in the trailer where it looks like, yeah, someone is paying money to Salom for sex, let's say.
Yeah.
When that scene happens, I wouldn't be surprised if I feel like it would be a missed opportunity if Kang doesn't kind of not throw it in his face, but bring up the fact that that is something that money should not be able to buy. And wouldn't it be interesting if he's the one who says it when in this point in time he's the one who money can buy anything?
What
Because
if
we know,
Storm says,
yeah,
says,
because
well, with money you can buy everything, right?
yeah,
Didn't you
and
say
but
this to me?
that's right. He's literally like money can buy anything, you know, and he thinks I feel like he at this point in time he feels like that's how it should be. But it's like I feel like when that happens, he's gonna be very much on the side of that there are
Opposite
some
side.
things that money that should not be for sale. So I'm interested to see what happens with that, honestly. But yeah, this is the first time when Salom is really sort of he lets the bullying get to him, you know. Um, and we have Kang throwing money at him, literally. And I feel like because we see that in the trailer as well in that scene between them, there's a parallel between that moment as well. I thought.
I
Um,
like how they do it. There are parallels all the time with the eraser, with the
throwing the
I'll tell
money.
you about another one in episode 4 because I love it so much. I don't know if
Okay.
it's there for a reason or not, but oh my god!
Yeah,
But yeah,
they're
they do
really
it, and
clever. They're really
even
clever
with the
with their
line.
imagery. And so I really also thought it was so interesting that the first violence we have between the bully and the bully is actually the bully hitting
Yeah,
the bully. You know, like, and not only that, I love once again coming back to the imagery of it. I love that he bends down and he picks up the money, and Kang thinks he's won. He thinks he's won something. He thinks he's broken him. He's gonna do what he wants him to do, whatever. He picks up the money, fists it in his hand, and uses it to deck him and uses it to punch his lights out. And once again, I don't really condone violence, but in this instance, it was brilliant because I love that imagery of him literally smacking him with his own money. And I really liked that. And also, he wasn't expecting it. And also, as I said, it's an interesting thing that this bullying that's been going on, and I'm not belittling the fact that the bullying isn't serious because it was non-violent. It's definitely serious. It's all the stuff he's done to him is even the stuff where it was just mischievous or whatever. It's none of it's good, but I did think it was interesting because he's clearly not afraid of being a violent bully. He does that with Otto,
with
but
physical violence
yeah,
at least.
but
Yeah.
he doesn't do physical violence with Salom, and I mean, like, I don't know, is there a subconscious thing in there? I don't know. But I do think it was interesting that it's Salom that hits him.
There were some moments where it was hinted that he was going to do that, but uh, especially at the beginning. But I feel like once it became more of a game of wheels and
Yeah,
who can win in this situation without violence.
yeah,
Once he understood how Salam works, how he would react. Once he started to know him a little bit, it was not about physical violence anymore. He was trying to
yeah,
do it in other ways.
yeah. And it's interesting because you're right. There is that scene when they get called to the principal's office with the grandmother. They're in the lift or something, aren't they? And they sort
Yeah.
of he has him by the shirt, you know, like you do where you're gonna like punch someone or something, but they get interrupted by other students or something. But yeah, it's just, and the other thing that I thought was kind of interesting about this scene was how he threw the grandmother's money back at Kang. Me
Yes.
personally, I wouldn't have done that because I wouldn't have trusted him with it. But it's like obviously he keeps a hold of it and gives it back to him later on. But I mean, I suppose if the money had gone missing or something and the grandmother was like, oh, you're not tutoring anymore, you have to give him my money back. And he was like, I gave it to Kang. And Kang's like, oh, no, he never. I'm pretty sure she's going to believe Salom in that instance after their past history. But it is one of those things that I was just like, yeah, I wouldn't have given him the money. What are you doing? So, but yeah, then we're sort of heading towards the end of the episode where he's still wanting his revenge. They're super curious to know who ratted them out about the bullying in the beginning with the grandmother. They have no idea it's the girl. So it'll be interesting to see if that ever comes to light.
Have the scene with him and the girl talking, and when she comes to his garden, and when they talk about the dog and how Salom thinks their situation is like of a dog and an owner, and how he has to bend the dog to his will. And Gunfa is like, you're not talking about the dog right now, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he sort of says that, like he says to his friends about, like going to beat him up. So we finally get that mention of violence after violence has already been invoked.
The
and
friends already know. They've already decided that Kang is not going to win in this situation. They were like, come
they
on,
basically
dude,
say
just
to
let
him,
it go.
they do. They say to him, he's not going to bend to your will. Like literally, the only way you could do it is like put a gun to his head, sort of thing. As a joke, they say that, and he's just like, "That's a brilliant idea. We should totally do that." Much to their horror,
And that's the one they start being concerned.
Yeah,
because they look at each other and they like, come on.
Yeah,
and they even call him to check.
Yeah. I mean, the whole gun thing is insane. Don't get me wrong, it is. But I did like the fact that he like literally triple checked to make sure that gun was empty. And when he turned up at the house and he got out the car before he started playing with it, he looked very fine. I will say he did look very fine. I was like, wow. I'm like, are you about to be a hero? Because you look very fine. But yeah, so the end scene was like such a brilliant way to invoke character development in both of them, really.
I want to mention that I liked how they made one of the debt collectors drunk. Did you notice? One of them was leaning against a wall, and I feel like it made the situation even more tense because drunk people are even more reckless, and you don't know what to expect from them, and you feel how terrified Salem is in that situation, and you feel that something bad is going to happen. You can feel it.
Well, the drunk one is the one that's leading the whole thing as well. So it's like because I mean they weren't even meant to be there until the next day. So he's the reason why they're there. He's the one who's instigating the violence. He's the one that's beating Salom. Like it's the drunk one that is driving that as well. So as you said, he's completely unpredictable, and it does definitely make it scarier. But Kang, so of course, the debt collectors come up, they want the money, the brother's not there, there's no money, so they just start beating Salom up. And Kang seeing Salom.
Then the iron. They want to burn him with the iron.
Oh yeah, the iron, that's right. Yeah. And so of course Kang enters, his gun already, sort of thing, to try and scare Salom. And seeing Salom defeated, he realizes how horrific and how much he hates seeing Salom like that. Like it happens very quickly.
The moment was genius. My note says genius in exclamation marks. It was freaking amazing. Like how they did it, how they turned the situation on its head, and the flashback.
And it's like you see him seeing like this thing that he thought he wanted so desperately is like when he's faced with it, it's not anything he ever wants to see again, I don't think. And he tries very hard in the next couple episodes to make sure that never happens again. And it's like
I like how it takes him a moment to decide that he's actually there to protect Salom, and he's there as his friend, and he screams, "What are you doing to my friend?"
Yeah,
it happened like this, and it's freaking amazing. And he sees himself in those bullies. The flashback tells us.
Oh, he does, yeah. And it's like it's really interesting because it's like all of these feelings that have been building inside of him from frustration, and in that frustration and all the rest of it between them, there's passion in that. Maybe not romantic passion, but they've been passionately like battling with each other, sort of thing. And there's this awe, there's this he's in awe of Salom a little bit. There's this grudging respect with him. I found it's so interesting because in this moment where as you said, it takes him like a split second to react, and we get to see that he's good at heart. Like, he could have just like been like walked in, saw that situation and went, yeah, now peace out, I'm out, and just left him behind. But his first instinct is to protect him, and then he doubles it down by then sticking around afterwards to comfort him and to agreeing to be tutored, Salom seeking comfort from Kang was also really interesting, because it's like we're in this moment where does he see him as a strong person, or is it
He's
that
a familiar bully. He's
yeah,
the
that's right.
familiar kind of
That's right.
inoffensive thing in his life.
Yeah.
That it's familiar, and he knows he can handle this, and he's a person who just defended him and accepted the role of the protector, and he called him his friend, and he's there to check on him.
Yeah.
He's there to check on him.
And this is the thing. So I'm like, because at the time I was like, okay, does he see him as this? I said this was a strong person. You say he knows he can handle himself. So there's that box is ticked. And you said he's the familiar person. Well, he is. It's better the devil you know, in that situation. But it's also like in that moment though, he becomes his savior.
Exactly.
And then Kang is so visibly shaken by Salom seeking comfort and support from him. Like, Salom finally is showing him some weakness. But to him, but instead of it being a forced thing by Kang to Salom, it's like a gift. It's a glimpse behind the shield that Kang was trying to destroy, and instead someone else has sort of smashed it and traumatized him. But instead of pulling it back into place, instead of Kang like pulling himself, or not Kang, Salom rather, pulling all his pieces together and like, and like hiding that away, he actually lets Kang sort of peek inside. And it's probably why later on Kang feels safe to do the same thing with him.
Yes.
It's like in this one little like 4-minute scene or whatever it was, Kang goes from sinner to saint and from bully to savior. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. They did it such a clever way.
That was the moment when I got obsessed with this series. That was the exact moment. I want to say that I noticed that was the first time the Chimon song starts playing. It starts playing when he, yeah, it's when he hugs Kang and
when he's embracing him.
his name.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is probably also the first time he sees Kang differently, and Kang doesn't take advantage of his vulnerability.
No,
That
that's
instead
right.
of using it against him, he actually acts as a protector and continues to attend to his wounds and check on him and be there for him. And I think that changes Salem's view on him very suddenly. And
yeah, I think so too, because the way, so because there's like, it's like threefold in his, or fourfold almost in his, the way he proves himself in this scene. So first off, we have his immediate reaction, which is to protect, and he does all this, mind you, against two scary, dangerous men who probably have weapons of their own, with an unarmed, like no bullets in the gun, like it's the biggest fake out ever, and he does it without any hesitation or any fear of like himself being hurt.
And Chimon plays that so, Perth plays that so well. Like the way he breathes, the way he like holds the gun. His acting is so good in that moment.
I know.
I applaud him.
Really,
so good.
It was really, really good. But and then we have how he just embraces him. He accepts Salom's weakness, even though he's so shaken by it as well. Like, and then
Yeah,
he
and
starts.
also,
Sorry.
yeah, and Salom asks for comfort, and Kang gives it to him.
Yeah,
He embraces him back.
exactly. He does, and he starts caring for him while Salom is basically traumatized. And as you said, he could totally have taken advantage of that situation. He could have done something, worse. And also, we know from future episodes that no one else knows about it. He hasn't told anybody. He hasn't, like, this is a thing between the two of them. So much so that he lies to the brother for him. And it's like, and it's completely the right thing to do in regards to the way Salom functions. It's probably not the right thing to do. Like, in actual fact, the brother probably really needed to know what actually really was going on, and whatever else. I mean, not the fact that he was there to, like, scare him with a gun, but like more details than he was given, I feel like. But he gives him this lie about bringing the money, so we've got this opportunity now they have funds they need without there being any issue towards it. And it's this opportunity to sort of, for both of them to cover for each other, but it relies on both of them agreeing to it.
Yeah, Kang changes a lot. Like, in several minutes, he became the protector. He became the one who gives comfort. He cared for him. And when the brother comes, he already, in his brain, he's starting to think on how can he help, how he can remedy the damage that he has done. Like, I can give him this money, I can do this. Like, he starts caring.
Yeah, but I also think it's a bit of, like, I mean, yes, by telling the slight fib he does, obviously he's protecting himself, but it also, to me, it feels more like he's protecting Salom in that moment. He's trying to protect his dignity, like retain as much of his dignity as he can. Like, it's like, if you had an image of Salom being surrounded by like a tattered blanket, like by him doing these things, it was like he was gathering all the pieces and then he handed them to Salom so that he wasn't without them, sort of thing. Like, I felt like he was giving Salom back the bits of him that he needed so he could then be himself again, if that makes any sense.
I love this moment so much.
And like, that's probably a good part to take a break now, because I think we're
wanna
ready for episode 3 now.
I want to mention another thing from episode 2, because how could we skipped it? I mean, another amazing moment from this episode is the aggressive mathematics tutoring scene on the bike.
Oh, the bike. And this is now where we should insert the bit where we were talking about where we were talking about the title for Dangerous Romance. Because I believe there was a comment about a bike from you. Maybe we'll do it after the next episode, because I think we need to talk about like what happens in the next couple of episodes. But we'll revisit this. There was a comment that was made about the bike.
All right, yeah.
We'll insert that for you later. Well, that was fun.
At least for us, it was.
If you made it to the end, I'm not sure if we should be apologizing or congratulating you.
But thanks again for spending your time with us. Join us in the next podcast as we react to episode 3 and 4 of Dangerous Romance.
We'll try and post episode reactions on Friday nights because we've got zero chill and we're going to want to watch the episodes straight away and react to them. So Friday nights podcast will mostly be filled with the obsession part, and the following Thursdays will be a podcast with more critical thought after we've had some time to reflect and calm down. Probably.
We are hoping to post on a regular schedule, but it's all new right now. So please check out our Twitter or X at criticallyobs for all future posting schedules. Bye now. I'm Mirella.
And I'm Zoe, and we'll see you next time for episode 3 and 4 of Dangerous Romance.